Hey folks, here we are for Game 2 with the Damia Surge deck, and we are playing against a new lot of commanders. Here we have Hapatra, Halar, and Galta. Galta seems pretty sweet. I like it. All of these cards seem pretty sweet. This one I was not super impressed with when I first saw it, but I've seen quite a few different iterations of this deck that are pretty awesome, pretty powerful. This one I've never seen before, but he seems okay. And here we have a rather unkeepable hand. It's okay. It's got exploration and 2 lands, but only 2, which is kind of a downside. And then I have a couple of 5-drops in this hand without the ability to cast it immediately, and an Overgrowth. I guess, you know, I could, if I draw another land, I can play Overgrowth and I can play Sadissi, and I can set up future or set up Primal Surge and then try to win by just finding ramp after that. But this just seems a little too slow for me, so I decided to ship it, and I want a more explosive 7. And this is definitely more explosive. I got Survival to help set up the combo. I have lots of mana, so I decided I'm going to keep this. The only question is how do I want to play this turn 1? How do I want to use this Chrome Mox? And then I drew Burgeoning on my first turn, which is excellent, obviously. I decided to just go ahead and play that instead of playing anything else. The opponent plays a land, I play a land. He plays a Soul Ring, helping to catch up a little bit. This opponent plays a land, and I play a land. I just wish I had one more land, because this guy's guaranteed to play a land on his first turn. He plays a Hardened Scales. Or this person is guaranteed to play a land on turn 1. And he does. Just plays a land and passes. And here I drew Mana Reflection, which makes me decide I'm just going to give up on this Deathrite Shaman. I would like to have him play, you know, with these 2 fetch lands and create mana in the future, but turn 2 Mana Reflection is kind of difficult to turn down, so decided to go with that line. Play the Mana Vault, tap out, play Mana Reflection on turn 2, which is pretty sweet. And because of that, this guy just conceded. A lot of people don't like, I guess, very competitive decks. I told y'all earlier this is not a super competitive deck, probably like a tier 4, you know, or so deck. And but it can do explosive things like that. That does not mean the game is over. I have 1 card in hand. He packs it in. He didn't want to play versus somebody who has 8 mana on turn 3 or whatever. So this player did not draw a land, I don't think, which is kind of unfortunate, and then passes the turn. Or I think what would rather happen is this guy conceded, and MTGO gets kind of buggy whenever people concede. So he conceded during his turn, which kind of just like yielded him through his turn. So he was unable to make a land drop, which completely stinks for him. And I hate it when people concede, especially at inopportune moments. Sometimes people concede whenever you're making your mulligan decisions, and you don't get to decide whether or not you want to mulligan, so you're just stuck there with that hand if they concede at the right time. And that was an example of that. He conceded, and it robbed this player of his turn, which is very unfortunate. This player plays a Leaf Gilder. Go ahead and get some ramp and play, trying to catch up to me. Here I do not pay for Mana Vault. I take a little damage from it. One little sweet thing is that this skips your draw step, and the damage here happens during your draw step. So if you have Damia in play, you do not get damaged by a tap Mana Vault. It's a small thing, but it's nice. So here I could have played, it takes exactly 8 mana for me to play Survival, pitch Mystic Snake to Survival, get Sadissi, then play Sadissi and get Primal Surge. I can do all that on this turn. I'll have 8 lands in play. But I will not be able to... Or wait a minute, I probably should have just done that, because then I could untap the Mana Vault during my upkeep, and then that makes 6, and then I have a total of 10. So I probably should have just done that. I didn't even think about that at the time. What I was thinking was that if I do that play, I need to draw a land off the top in order to win next turn. So I guess I could have had a turn 4 kill here, but I decided to play Damia to go ahead and draw some more cards. I can't believe I overlooked that Mana Vault play. I didn't even realize that until right now. I could have definitely created enough mana to cast Primal Surge next turn. This player gets his turn back finally. He plays Hapatra. Burgeoning is kind of annoying once you've exhausted all of your lands and put them all into play. I only got 2 triggers off of it, and I have not drawn a land since. So what happens is the trigger just goes in the stack, and you don't get to use it. It's a constant reminder that you don't get to use it. So here I draw some cards, and I don't pay for Mana Vault. Completely, like I said, overlooked the fact that it generates way more mana than I thought. But I'm fine that I waited, because now I get to play telepathy. I probably should have just played it first before I did anything else, but I decided to play survival first. Then I play telepathy, just to make sure that we're good here, and we are good here. This guy has no ways of stopping me. He's got some pretty cool cards in his hand, but he doesn't have anything that can deal with what I plan to do, and neither does this guy. Just show you the cards he has here. Beacon of Creation seems pretty sweet in his deck. You get a bunch of forests in play, and you get a bunch of power in play, and then this guy gets significantly cheaper. I like it. So here I make that play that I was mentioned last turn. I pitch Venser to get Sidizzi, then I play Sidizzi to get Primal Surge. And now I have enough mana sources in play to cast Primal Surge next turn. So, and depending on what they draw here, I will certainly win next turn. He attacks him. Excuse me, this player attacks this player and puts a counter on my Damia. Trying to kill her eventually, but I think the damage is going to be done by the time she dies. And he did not draw anything meaningful that turn. He drew a Corp Prowler. Interesting card. I mean, I guess once it dies, if you can trigger this thing to die a bunch, all you need is one infect counter on somebody and you can kill someone with this thing. Pretty cool, like a Nim Death Mantle, like Ashnod's Altar type combo or something like that could kill everybody with this as long as they have one infect counter. Maybe that's why it's in his deck. And he decides to play Soul of the Harvest, set up for a big next turn. Soul of the Harvest is not really a combo with Beacon of Creation. I like Beacon of Creation in his deck more than I like Soul of the Harvest. But, I mean, if you need draw card, you need draw cards. So you're going to do what you got to do. Green is limited on the ways that it can draw cards. So here the plan is pretty simple. I'm not going to pay for Mana Vault. And I play a fetch land, and I don't use it because I don't need to. And then I cast Primal Surge. And here, just like the other time, I'm going to skip to the very end. Hopefully you'll get to see it this time. But like I said, MTGO lags. Look at all these cards everywhere. Just all over the place. Yeah, it lags whenever you do this because so many things are happening this turn. And if I click past it or if I let it play through, if I just click play here, then it happens very, very slowly. It takes like 20 minutes. If I click on this, then I have to click on it quite a few times per card coming out. But if I do this, it just skips through everything and just slams everything into play. So what happened here is Phantasmal Image was one of the first cards that came out, and you can copy a creature. And I just clicked on this one because it was the closest to my mouse at the time. And that was a mistake, probably. Even though it's sweet and it allows me to win the game for sure with the draw card abilities, it puts a ton of triggers on the stack that I have to resolve. For each one of these creatures in play, and this spell is not even resolved yet. I still have 28 cards left in my library. I have to put a ton more triggers on the stack. When I first made this deck, I had a lot of enter the battlefield effects because I wanted to have a backup plan of being like a grindy value deck without using Primal Surge. But whenever you resolve Primal Surge that way, there are just so many triggers on the stack, and online it's just obnoxious. On paper it would be fine. You can just put the cards in the order in which the stack happens, and then you resolve them accordingly. But online there's a lot of triggers, so I probably should not have used Soul of the Harvest here. I should have clicked on anything else like this or any of my other creatures that I had in play. But luckily for me, my opponents saw what was going on and they decided to pack it in the middle of Primal Surge resolving. So I win this game based on a concession. But I would have won the other way. It would have just taken a little longer. So this is game 2.